Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody who has joined us here on our program today. Thank you for joining us, guys. We appreciate it very much. As we've been doing for quite some time, we're going to go right now to our nation's national anthem. And I would ask everyone to please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Oh yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it.
America's finest, the United States Army Barbershop Quartet, performing at the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. We want to thank all of our men and women in uniform, wherever they might be around the world or here in the United States. We also want to thank our allied forces, our friends who also joined the United States in helping protect the world. God bless you. May God always protect you. May you always have His Spirit to be with you. And may you return home to your families in safety when your tours of duty end. God bless you all. Thank you so much for that. Now, folks, we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot of things to talk about tonight, as we normally do. I want to talk about earthquakes. The first thing I want to do is go over to our earthquake map, our USGS earthquake map. Now I'm going to take down my face here. I'm going to take down our EMA banner there. I want to go over here to the United States first, since it's right in front of us. Okay? I want to talk about what's going on. Okay? Now, you may not know it, but there is a lot going on. USGS is not talking to us about it either. Okay? Over here, northern Missouri, Monroe, Missouri. We're going to talk more about the New Madrid fault in just a few minutes. This is a 2.6 minor earthquake in Monroe, Missouri. Okay, northern Missouri. Let's go over here to Kansas, Danville, Kansas. This is a 3.4 small earthquake here in Danville, Kansas. South of there, Guthrie, Oklahoma. This is a 1.2 tremor. Both of these places are right in the middle of oil and gas fields here. Let's go over first to Danville, Kansas. I want to show you what is going on there. There are even oil fields in Danville, Kansas in this area. Right here, just south of that earthquake, there is an oil and gas producing plot here just south of this earthquake. Now again, excuse me, got allergies. Any one earthquake within 6 to 10 miles of an oil and gas plot can be an oil and gas fracking earthquake. Can be an oil and gas fracking earthquake. We've seen it happen before. This one is right next to two of them. Right next to two of them, Danville, Kansas. Now, it's not always the case in Kansas. Oil fields are not as prevalent in Kansas as they are in Oklahoma or Texas. Okay? Let's go over and look at Oklahoma now. This is Guthrie, Oklahoma. Frequently, we have seen earthquakes right next to oil and gas fracking operations here in Guthrie, Oklahoma. Let's zoom in here. I want to show you this. Now, they're not going to let me get any closer than this, but you can see the oil fields are right next to this earthquake. Literally right next to this earthquake. And it's a 1.2 tremor. Okay? Right next to it. Oil and gas fields all over Oklahoma. 586,000 pumps and jacks all over Oklahoma. Okay? As I said before, I don't even want to know how many pumps and jacks are in Texas. Thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of pumps and jacks over in Texas. Now, I want to go over to Texas right now. Okay? This is Westbrook, Texas. We've talked about earthquakes here before. This is 5.5 kilometers deep. 5.5 kilometers deep. Let's go over here and take a look and see what this says here. Look at this. Again, right next to a fracking operation right here. Look at that. Right next to a pump and jack here. In fact, a couple pumps and jacks. Okay? Right smack dab in an oil field here in Westbrook, Texas. You can see the pump and jack operations here in Westbrook, Texas. Now let's back out just a little bit. Okay? I want to go over here to Ackerley, Texas. We've had quite a few earthquakes here in Ackerley, Texas. Even a 5.1 the other day. A large 5.1 the other day, right after we showed you the swarms of earthquakes here in Ackerley, Texas. Again, this is right smack dab in the middle of an oil field. Look at all these pumps and jacks all over the place here. We're still having earthquakes here. This earthquake that I highlighted is a 1.5 tremor. Right next to it to the west is a 2.0 minor earthquake. Just to the northeast is a 1.0 tremor. Northeast of there, a 1.2 tremor here. Let's go further south here. This is a 1.3 tremor here. This is 34 kilometers west-southwest of Ackerley, Texas. Right smack dab in the middle of an oil field. These are aftershocks of the 5.1 earthquake several days ago. They continue happening. Anytime we get that size of an earthquake, we're going to see aftershocks for a long time period. possibly weeks or months. Aftershocks for possibly weeks or months after a large earthquake like we saw in Ackerley, Texas the other day. Let's go further south and to the west here. This is Texas again. This is a 1.6 tremor in Mentone, Texas, 12 kilometers north-northwest of Mentone, Texas. We go further west, Toyah, Texas here. This is a 1.7 tremor northwest, 40 kilometers northwest of Toyah, Texas. Further here, USGS has this in New Mexico. It's not in New Mexico. This is in Texas as well. This is a 2.1 earthquake here, a minor 2.1 earthquake, and further north here is a 1.4 tremor. Now, I want to zoom in here. There's another earthquake I want to show you here. This is a 1.5 also here in Texas. Let's go further south and west here. Van Horn, Texas. Van Horn, Texas. This is a 1.7, 66 kilometers north-northeast of Van Horn, Texas. Smack dab in the middle of an oil field here. Okay? You can see an oil field to the south here. I believe there's another oil field here just up here to the northwest. This is an oil and gas fracking earthquake within 6 to 10 miles away from an oil platform. Okay? This is common. This is very common. We've been having earthquakes here for a very long time. Okay? Now you see more earthquakes here in Southern California. These are in the Imperial Valley and over here in East San Diego County here. East San Diego County. For example, this is Ocotillo Wells. This is not in Ocotillo Wells at all. USGS has this at Ocotillo Wells. This is at the top of the Chocolate Mountains. The top of the Chocolate Mountains in East San Diego County. We go further to the north here. This is Julian, California. Good old Julian, California. Apple pie season right now. You can go to Julian, California, pick your own apples out of an apple orchard. Just pay pennies on the dollar over at these apple orchards, and you can go into the town of Julian itself and have a meal and hot apple pie and hot apple cider there in Julian. The temperatures are starting to chill down there in Julian now at night. This is a 0.3 microquake here in Julian. Further east here, this is Borrego Springs, the Anza Borrego Desert State Park here. This is a 0.8 microquake here. There's more of these here. This is a 0.9. This is a 0.7 also in Borrego Springs. Right here, just to the north of there. This is Anza Borrego Desert. The Anza Borrego Desert. This is a 0.5 tremor here. Microquake, I should say. This is a 0.2 microquake. This is Idlewild, California in the San Bernardino, on the western side of the San Bernardino Mountains. This is a 0.7 microquake. Right next to it, also in Idlewild, this is a 1.5 tremor here. We go north here. This is the San Jacinto Fault, guys. The San Jacinto Fault. This is a 0.8 also in Idlewild, California. We talked about Idlewild before. This is a great time to go to Idlewild right now. The leaves are starting to change color. You can rent a cabin, an A-frame cabin there, and have everything literally at your fingertips. You can go hiking through the woods. You can go into town and have hot apple pie, a wonderful meal at one of the restaurants there. You can have an Italian dinner in Idlewild. You can have hamburgers and French fries. You can have almost any kind of food that you want in Idlewild, California. After you get through having lunch there or dinner, you can go over into the shops and find trinkets and things in Idlewild in the shops. It's a great place to be. A great place to be. This is a 0.8 microquake there. Going north, Valley Vista. This is a 1.1 tremor also on the San Jacinto Fault. Going north also, 4 kilometers north-northeast of Valley Vista, this is a 1.2 tremor here. We go west. Okay, this is Green Acres, California. Green Acres is the place to be. Farm living is the life for me. Let's spreading out the farming life. No, I'm not going to sing that song. I'll get a copyright violation. Anyway, this is Green Acres, California. This is a 0.6 microquake here. Further to the southwest here, this is North San Diego County. This is the Pala Indian Reservation in northeast San Diego County. This is a 1.5 tremor here. A 1.5 tremor. Now we just had another earthquake that popped up just seconds ago. This is also in Borrego Springs. A 1.2 tremor over here in Borrego Springs. North San Diego County, northeast San Diego County. Also on the San Jacinto Fault. The San Jacinto Fault here. Now, this one here in Pala. This is also on the Elsinore Fault. This is just west of the Elsinore Fault here in Pala, California. Okay? Just so you know. Now, I'm only going to go up here into Los Angeles to show you a few earthquakes here. This is Yorba Linda, California. This is in the southeastern part of LA City here, or actually LA County. Okay, Yorba Linda, California. This is where former President Richard M. Nixon was born. Yorba Linda, California. This is a 1.2 tremor here in Yorba Linda. Further north here, again, it's on the Elsinore Fault here. Further north here, east-northeast of Los Angeles, this is a 1.0 tremor here. 1.0 tremor just east-northeast of Los Angeles City. We go over here to Malibu. Now, folks, USGS tried to pawn this earthquake off as a 4.5 earthquake. Remember, they tried to pawn this earthquake off several days ago. Actually, the end of last week, they tried to pawn this off as a 4.5 earthquake. No, folks, I proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that this was not a 5.1 earthquake as it came out to be, and USGS downgraded it to a 4.5. This was a 5.4 to 5.6 magnitude earthquake. This was a 5.4 to 5.6 magnitude earthquake, a very large earthquake. Now, they're saying there was very little of no damage. Folks, it was a large earthquake nonetheless. They can't pawn it off as just a moderate earthquake. How many aftershocks have we got to have here? Right now we're at about 100 aftershocks. 100 aftershocks, and they're counting still. Okay, this is a 1.8 tremor here in Malibu, California. Malibu Hills, California. They continue. They continue. Now, I'm going to go south here. I'm going down here into the South Pacific. Okay, yes, I'm going to come back up here to Hawaii in just a few minutes. I want to go down here into Papua New Guinea. This is a large 5.0 earthquake down here in Panguna, Papua New Guinea. Okay? This is 123 kilometers southeast of Panguna, Papua New Guinea. Now, folks, there are people that live in this area, but this is out in the ocean. The ocean waters, I believe, absorbed the shock waves of this earthquake. This is 123 kilometers southeast of Panguta, Papua New Guinea. The ocean waters absorbed the shock waves of this quake. I don't believe anybody even felt anything close to that. Okay? No problem, right? Let's go further west here. This is a large, very large 5.6 earthquake here. This is a very large 5.6 earthquake here. This is 119 kilometers north-northwest of Finschenhaven, Papua New Guinea. Finschenhaven, Papua New Guinea. This is also out here in the ocean. Okay? I don't believe anybody even felt this earthquake either. Now, when it first hit, I was worried. When it first hit it, I was worried. But after doing a little research, I found out it's out in the ocean waters. So I don't believe anybody felt this earthquake. People got lucky. If this had hit land, there might have been injuries and or fatalities and quite a bit of damage, since this was a large, very large 5.6. Very large is anything from 5.5 to 5.9. 5.0 to 5.5 is considered to be a large earthquake. 5.5 or 5.6 to 5.9 is considered to be a very large earthquake. And this was at least a 5.6 earthquake. Let's go further to the west here. This is also in Papua New Guinea. This is a moderate earthquake. This is a 4.4 moderate earthquake. This is 123 kilometers deep. 55 kilometers east of Ambunti, Papua New Guinea. Okay? A moderate earthquake there. They got lucky, because we've had our share of large earthquakes over here in Papua New Guinea and Papua, Indonesia. We go further west here. This is Tobelo, Indonesia. Northern Indonesia, just south of the Philippines. 5.2 earthquake here. 90 kilometers east-northeast of Tobelo, Indonesia here. Again, this is out in the ocean. A large 5.2 earthquake here. Now, I understand that USGS and some of the other agencies are calling these mild earthquakes. They're not. They're not moderate earthquakes as they have also been calling them. These are large earthquakes. They do substantial damage. For USGS to start calling these moderate earthquakes, they're not. Anything 5.0 or larger is a large earthquake. That's what they've always been, and they cause major damage most of the time. They can cause major damage most of the time. We've seen this in Los Angeles. We've seen it happen in Los Angeles. Now we go further west here. Now we're over near Gorontalo, Indonesia. Gorontalo, Indonesia, I should say. This is a moderate 4.5 earthquake out in the ocean here. 194 kilometers north of Gorontalo, Indonesia. A 4.5 earthquake. Now, what makes this different from the others? This one is a moderately deep earthquake. 468 kilometers deep. 468 kilometers deep. Now, let's take down this earthquake map for just a minute. I want to show you what that means. Let's bring up the depth to magnitude conversion chart. This was 468 kilometers deep. Okay? Over here near the center of this chart here, I'm going to enlarge it so you can see what I'm talking about here. 468 kilometers deep. Okay? Go over where it says D here. It says DAW. Go over to where it says D here. We scroll down here until we can get to 450, and then we go up here to W. Okay? Go over here to W on the first line from the top. Okay? 468 kilometers, we're going to add a 0.54 to this earthquake. A 0.54 to this earthquake. Now, what does that mean? This earthquake is very capable of a much larger earthquake. This earthquake that we saw here is capable of a much larger earthquake. Well, this is a 4.5 earthquake. We're going to add a 5.4 to this. Okay? As a result of this 4.5 earthquake, this earthquake is going to propagate a much larger, shallower quake. This earthquake is going to propagate at least a 5.0 to 5.1 earthquake. 5.0 to 5.1 earthquake. Now that larger earthquake could stay here in Indonesia area right here. It could also go north here to Mindanao, Philippines. So we could have a large earthquake here in the next 72 hours to 10 days here near Mindanao, Philippines here. Or it continue to go west over here to Sulawesi, Indonesia here. Sulawesi, Indonesia. Or folks, it could go over here to Vietnam, Thailand, over here to Cambodia, or Myanmar. Myanmar right in here. Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Myanmar, and Southeast Asia here. Okay? Or it could go south. Or it could go south into Java, or eastern Java, Indonesia here. Okay? But it's going to propagate a larger earthquake, a larger, shallower earthquake. Okay? Let's go over here to Sumatra, Indonesia today. We had another earthquake here. This is a large 5.0 earthquake. This is 83 kilometers deep. Still a very shallow earthquake. 83 kilometers deep, a 5.0 large earthquake. This is 78 kilometers southwest of Padang. I can't even pronounce this name. Padang Sidimpuan, Indonesia. Padangsidempuan, Indonesia. Padang Sidimpuan. Okay? This is offshore of Sumatra, Indonesia. I don't think anybody felt this earthquake either. Okay? No, it's not a very shallow quake, but it is still a shallow quake because it's an 83 kilometer deep earthquake. It's not right near the surface. Okay? While we're over here in the Indian Ocean, I want to go over here. We get frequent earthquakes in this location also. This is in the Andaman Islands here. In the Andaman Islands, I believe, belong to India. But these are just north of Sumatra, Indonesia also. This is a 5.5 earthquake here. A very large 5.5 earthquake here. Now you do not see any landmass, any islands around this earthquake. This is in the Indian Ocean. It's right next to this fault line. Right next to this fault line. A very large 5.5 earthquake. Nobody felt this quake. However, it's going to move north here. This earthquake is going to move north into northeastern India. Northeastern India here. Okay? Now, one other earthquake here in the Indian Ocean here. This is a 5.1 magnitude earthquake here in the central Indian Ocean here. A 5.1 earthquake. That's a large earthquake. No landmass or islands anywhere near it. Nobody felt this earthquake either. Everybody got lucky here. Now, we can go over here into Russia. Okay? We don't see many earthquakes being talked about in Russia because Russia doesn't tell us about it. And USGS doesn't talk to us about much of anything anymore. In fact, USGS is only talking about 190 earthquakes worldwide. That's very interesting because just down in the Imperial Valley of Southern California, there's over 300 earthquakes there today. And yet USGS says there's 190 earthquakes worldwide. What a farce. What a farce. This is a 4.4 earthquake over here in Chernihiv, Russia. Chernihiv, Russia here. 4.4 moderate earthquake. This is 10.5 kilometers deep here. Okay? Let's go over here to Crete, Greece. Again, they're not showing us all the earthquakes here. Crete, Greece here, just south of Crete here. This is on the fault line just south of Crete. This is a 4.4 earthquake. A moderately 4.4 earthquake here on the fault line, on the edge of the plate. This is interesting in the very least. This is interesting in the very least because where does this earthquake come from? Where did this earthquake come from? It's on the Anatolian Fault. It's on the Anatolian Fault here. This fault line goes up here into Turkey and the Syria border region here in Turkey. Why? Folks, USGS is not showing any earthquakes here. There are 25 earthquakes over here in the Turkey-Syria border region today. Why? Because, folks, over a year and a half ago, February 3rd last year, there was a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake here. A 9.0, 10.0 earthquake here. We're still seeing aftershocks here. Some of that energy coming out of Turkey here, the Turkey-Syria border region, is filtering down here to Cyprus. Yes, there are a handful of minor earthquakes, just tiny tremors here over in Cyprus. That fault line goes down here just south of Crete. This is why we had a earthquake here. A 4.4 earthquake south of Castri, Greece. Okay? However, there's more earthquakes here in Turkey as well. Southern Turkey, northern Turkey, and western Turkey as well. There's earthquakes in the islands off the coast of western Turkey. These islands belong to Greece. They're called the Volcanic Islands here. Earthquakes there. Going over here to mainland Greece, there's about 13 or 14 earthquakes here in mainland Greece. USGS not showing one of them. Not even one of them. Then I want to go over here to Mount Etna, just off the coast of southern Italy here. Mount Etna. Well, guess what? Mount Etna has been erupting for quite some time. Mount Etna has been erupting for quite some time. It's very interesting here. It's very, very interesting here. Why do you think Mount Etna has been erupting? What is happening here right now? Mount Etna has been erupting for years now. A lot of years. There's ongoing ground deformation. ongoing ground deformation here at Mount Etna. Why? Because there's a magma reservoir down beneath the volcano. And the magma reservoir is recharging, which is lifting the mountain even higher, which is going to result in another volcanic eruption here at Mount Etna very soon. Today, Etna's northeast crater activity is ongoing. It's degassing, sending sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide gas up in the atmosphere. Okay? The degassing is in the east-southeast direction vent. Northeastern crater, southeast direction degassing from the volcano. Now, what else is going on? There's very strong winds in this area. So the gases are being blown out from Mount Etna and they're dissipating very rapidly, which means that nobody even anywhere near Mount Etna is going to be affected by the sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide gases that are being emitted from Mount Etna. But there's also another volcano here called Stromboli. Stromboli is not degassing and it's not erupting presently. Two volcanoes, two very active volcanoes in this region. Mount Etna is degassing. We're going to talk about these volcanoes again in just a few minutes. Okay? But there's another 30 earthquakes over here in central Italy. Again, USGS is not talking about any of them. None of them. There are earthquakes over here in northern Europe. They're not talking about these earthquakes either. They're not talking about any earthquakes in the Swiss, Italian, German Alps mountains here. None. There are some tremors here. Over here at the border of France and Spain, there's a couple minor earthquakes here. There's several minor earthquakes over here in Spain itself as well. And heaven forbid they're talking about it. They're not. There's some tremors over here in the Canary Islands that they're also not discussing. Okay? There's more than one earthquake over here in South America. USGS says this is in Ovalle, Chile. A 4.2 moderate earthquake here. There's 22 earthquakes here in South America. Chile, Peru, and Colombia. They're only showing one earthquake here in Central America. It's interesting. There are 8 earthquakes here in Central America. Costa Rica, El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Guatemala. USGS is only showing this one just off the southwest coast of El Salvador. A 4.4 earthquake here. This happens to be 50 kilometers deep. 50 kilometers deep. Again, they're not showing the 300 plus earthquakes over in Southern California in the Imperial Valley. They never do. They're only showing the earthquakes that they want to show here in California at all. Now, I want to tell you about another earthquake that very few people even know about. Okay? Over here. Now, there's one earthquake over here in Thatcher, Utah. This is a 1.1 tremor here in Thatcher, Utah. This is on a fault zone, the Wasatch Fault Zone. However, there's another earthquake that nobody is even talking about. There's another earthquake over here in northeast Salt Lake City. Northeast Salt Lake City. Now, I want to see if I can get close enough here where it will allow me to show you where the earthquake is. It's just to the east of Interstate 15 here. Okay? This is Interstate 15 here. Actually, it's not to the east, it's just to the west here. It's in a residential area here in North Salt Lake City right here. In a residential area here in northeast Salt Lake City. On the west side of Interstate 15 here. It's a 3.0 earthquake. USGS is not even showing it. Volcano Discovery said it was an undetermined earthquake. A 3.0 earthquake here in northeast Salt Lake City. Okay? Interesting. There's more tremors here also in Salt Lake City and all over Utah that USBS is not even talking about. A lot of them. A ton of them. We go further north here. This is Grace, Idaho. Grace, Idaho. Southeast Idaho. This is a 1.3 tremor here. 7 kilometers deep. Fascinating, huh? They're not showing any tremors in Yellowstone. There are tremors in Yellowstone. There are tremors in Washington or not Washington, there are tremors in Montana. Well, there's tremors in Washington as well, but there's tremors in Montana and Wyoming that they're not even showing. They're not showing all the earthquakes here in Washington and Oregon either. We talked about that last night. Briefly, let's go over here into the Aleutian Island fault zone. Over here in the western Aleutian Islands area, Attu Station. Attu Station. This is a 4.2 moderate earthquake here. We go east. This is a 3.1 near Atka, Alaska. 180 kilometers east of Atka, Alaska. We go further east. Chignik, Alaska. 81 kilometers southeast of Chignik, Alaska here. Another 4.0 earthquake. How about over here in the Gulf of Alaska here? This is a 2.6 earthquake here. Fascinating. Southern Alaska, you see all these tremors and microquakes here. Not a big deal. Very much not a big deal at all. Okay? Folks, this is Anchorage, Alaska right here. There are no earthquakes, no tremors, no nothing here near Anchorage, Alaska. However, north of there is. This is a 1.8 earthquake here, a tremor. This is just 1 mile north-northwest of Big Lake, Alaska. 2 more earthquakes north of there. This is a 1.4 near Houston, Alaska. This is a 1.8 near Willow, Alaska, east of Willow, Alaska. And you can see other earthquakes here. Let's go over into Denali National Park. This is over on the southern flank, the southern side of Mount McKinley. This is a 2.1 earthquake. USBS has this as 53 kilometers north of Petersville, Alaska. No, it's in Denali National Park. USBS can't even get the location right. We had just had another earthquake here that happened just moments ago. This is a 1.4 tremor here. They say this is 47 kilometers south of Cantwell, Alaska. Fascinating. Fascinating. You can see these earthquakes over on the north side of Denali National Park. Well, guess what? USBS says this is a 2.1 earthquake. 49 kilometers southeast of Denali, Alaska. No, it's not. This is north of Denali, Alaska, on the outskirts of Denali, not southeast of Denali at all. Again, they can't get their directions correct. Fascinating as it is, USGS is wrong again. Over here, Fox, Alaska, a 1.2 tremor here. To the west, this is near a volcano. Tanana, Alaska here, a 2.0 earthquake. 2.0 earthquake. Up here, Arctic Village, Alaska. Arctic Village, Alaska. This is over here in the Arctic Circle. This is up here in the Arctic Circle. This is a 2.2 earthquake. Together with this other one, this is a 2.8. 123 kilometers northwest of Arctic Village, Alaska. No, guys. No, it's not. It's not northwest of Arctic Village, Alaska. It's up here in Arctic Village, Alaska, on the Arctic Circle. Fascinating, huh? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's just part of the fun here. This is just part of the fun we have with USGS. Okay? Juby Joe says, rest up please. Drove three times in 14 hours, no sleep, and the first time I hit myself and made a promise to never do it again. I know that very well. I've been there and done that. Whoever is picking on someone else here, please don't do that. Okay? Don't give anybody a bad time tomorrow either, please. Okay? Please don't give Becca a bad time here. She doesn't deserve a bad time. Heather, I'm glad you're feeling a little bit better, even though your hand is still sore. It's probably going to be so sore for a little while. Juby Joe also put a chat up here just a few minutes ago saying, oh, my Frosty Keister, you're a brave soul, brother. Oh, my Frosty Keister. I thought I was the only one that said Frosty Keister here. I'm glad somebody else is also saying that here. Unreal. Unreal. Catherine Sigerson is in Central Canada here, and she just got home. Welcome, Catherine. We're glad to have you here. Anyway, Don Patoka says, Ron, there is a great reason they call it USGS. I agree. Don, you're right. I totally agree. There is a good reason they call it USGS. Anyway, let's get out of this application here. I want to show you earthquakes over on the East Coast, and then I want to show you earthquakes somewhere else. Okay? But first, before we do that, this is the 2-day graphical tropical weather outlook here. This is out in the Atlantic Ocean here. Let me explain this graphic, okay? I have a great lot of explaining to do about this graphic. We have a tropical weather outlook here from the National Weather Service and the National Hurricane Center. This is for the North Atlantic, the Caribbean Sea, and the Gulf of Mexico. The central subtropical Atlantic, remnants of Gordon. Remnants of Gordon here. These are areas of showers and thunderstorms located over the central subtropical Atlantic. In this system, it's possible that while it moves forward or northeastward over the next few days, there is a slight chance of formation through the next 48 hours. Maybe a low 30% chance of some kind of formation. Okay? A formation chance through 7 days. This one that's further out in the middle of the Atlantic has a chance of formation through the next 7 days. Low 30% chance. A central and western subtropical Atlantic, an area of low pressure located about 750 miles southeast of Bermuda, is producing disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Environmental conditions appear only marginally conducive, but some development of this system is possible while it meanders over the open waters of the central or western subtropical Atlantic through the early next week. A formation chance through the next 48 hours is low, a 10% chance. A formation chance of 7 days, low 20% chance. Okay? The northwestern Caribbean Sea and the southeastern Gulf of Mexico. There is a broad area of low pressure that could form by earlier next week over the northwestern Caribbean Sea here. Thereafter, a gradual development of this system is possible, and a tropical depression could form as the system moves slowly to the north or northwest over the northwestern Caribbean Sea and into the southern Gulf of Mexico through the middle part of next week. The formation chance through 48 hours is low, like 0% chance. The formation chance through the next 7 days is medium, a 40% chance of formation. Okay? A 40% chance of formation. Let me take this graphic down. Okay, I'm going to put up my mug here so we don't have a blank screen here. I want to talk briefly about volcanoes before we go over to the East Coast. We talked about Etna Volcano. There's ongoing ground deformation at Mount Etna. The northeastern part of the crater has some activity with the constant degassing of the volcano. Okay, that degassing again is being vented from the east-southeast direction, accompanied by strong winds over the next few days, which means nobody's going to be affected by the degassing of Mount Etna. Now, south of Japan. South of Japan, we have Suwanese-jima volcano. It's a small island in the Ryukyu Islands just south of Japan. There has been an explosion there, an eruption at Suwanese-jima volcano. Okay? There was an 18,000 foot blast from Suwanese-jima volcano. Flight level 180. Over Papua New Guinea. Bogana volcano. Bougainville Island, Papua New Guinea. Explosive activity continues there. A volcanic ash advisory warned about a volcanic ash plume that rose up to 12,000 feet high, 3,700 meters high. Flight level 120. The ash and gas plume is moving 15 knots in a westerly direction. Mount Ibu, Halmahera, central Indonesia. There was explosive activity earlier. The volcanic ash plume rose up to an estimated 8,000 feet high, 2,400 meters high. Flight level 080 for those people who are pilots. Luotobi volcano in the Flores Islands in Indonesia. Explosive activity continues at that volcano. There is a volcanic ash advisory that warned about a volcanic ash plume that rose up to 10,000 feet high, 3,000 meters high, flight level 100. Eastern Java, Indonesia. Southern Indonesia, East Java, Indonesia. Semeru volcano. There is a volcanic ash advisory near Semeru volcano as well. A volcanic ash plume rose up to 14,000 feet high today. 14,000 feet high, 4,300 meters high, flight level 140. Going over into Central America, North Central America. Fuego volcano, Guatemala. There is a volcanic ash advisory there. There was an eruption, ash and gas plume up to 15,000 feet high. 15,000 feet high, flight level 150. The summit elevation from that volcano is 12,346 feet high. So add to 15,000 feet above that. That is above sea level, guys. That is a long distance above sea level. 27,000 feet above sea level. Reventador volcano, Ecuador. There's two volcanoes over in Ecuador, Reventador and Sangay volcano. Right now, Sangay volcano is not erupting. However, Reventador is. There was explosive activity continuing at Reventador. A volcanic ash plume rose up to 15,000 feet high at Reventador volcano. 4,600 meters high, flight level 150. Again, Sangay volcano over in Ecuador is not erupting. Sangay volcano summit lies at 15,858 feet high, 5,286 meters high. Sangay volcano has erupted previously and does remain active. Escaping lava, ash, and gases have a massive impact on the surrounding areas and air traffic. Previously, ash clouds have risen up to an altitude of 6,100 meters high. South of there in southern Peru. Southern Peru, just north of the Chilean border. Sabancaya volcano has erupted. There is a volcanic ash plume that rose up to 22,000 feet high, 6,700 meters high, flight level 220. The ash and gas plume is moving at 15 knots in a southeasterly direction. Now, because of that eruption, there are puff emissions up to 22,000 feet high. Puff emissions also. Okay? Does anybody have any questions about the volcanoes that are erupting? Don Patoka says, do not snort the SO2. Oh, Don, you're so funny. Don Patoka says, if you lose cabin pressure on exhale and hold your breath. Oh, God. Unreal. Unreal, Don. You're funnier than all get out. Renee Steffi's asking about Kilauea. Okay, there is activity at Kilauea. Let's bring up the USGS map again. There is activity at Kilauea. Let's take off my mug here and show you Hawaii here. We have a new earthquake here at Kilauea here. A new earthquake here at Kilauea. Okay? This is actually out in Leilani Estates here. This is out in Leilani Estates, just north of Fern Forest. This is a 2.1 earthquake that just happened. A 2.1 magnitude earthquake over here in Leilani Estates. Fern Forest. There's a 1.7 tremor there. Just north of there, 1.5. Just north of there, 1.7. These are in Fern Forest. Fern Forest. Okay? Now, I'm going to zoom in here. I want to show you Kilauea. This earthquake is just north of Kilauea. There are some homes up here. There are some homes up here. Okay? Kilauea is right here. Yes, we've had earthquakes here at Kilauea, 2.7, and 3 tremors here at Kilauea, and they're not showing them here today. Or right now anyway, they're not showing them here at all right now. But we've had earthquakes here over in the north part of the crater and down here underneath the present day caldera. The present day caldera is not showing here. They're showing a very low seated caldera here. Lava has increased into Holly Mau Mau crater here at Kilauea. Lava is increased within about 100 to 150 feet beneath the rim of this crater. Okay? So we have had earthquakes down here in the molten lava area or the magma beneath the caldera floor here. Okay? It's happening. It's happening. It's always happening here. Okay? Now, while we're still having earthquakes here, these are going to continue. These are definitely going to continue. Now, while it's going to continue, I fully expect to see a fissure eruption out here, either in Fern Forest and or Leilani Estates, probably within the next 30 days. If it doesn't happen within the next 30 days, I will be somewhat surprised. I'll be somewhat surprised here. Now, let's go south over here into Pahala. Okay, this area is also considered Pahala here. This is a 1.8 tremor. This is 11 kilometers east-northeast of Pahala, Hawaii. This just north of there. This is a 2.0 earthquake here. This is a 1.7 here. Offshore, there's some submarine volcanoes offshore here. This is another 2.0 earthquake. This is a 2.4 earthquake here. Again, submarine volcanoes off the coast of Hawaii here. We come down here further next to just southeast or southwest of Pahala here. This is the town of Pahala here. That is the town of Pahala. Just south of Pahala here we have another 2.0 earthquake. Okay? Now they say this is a 1.9. I'm calling it a 2.0 because I do not trust the people at USPS. Okay? If they say it's a 1.9, it's because they've downgraded it to the nearest 0.9. Okay? So I call it a 2.0 earthquake, minor earthquake. This is also a 2.0 earthquake here. Further down here to the southeast, another 2.1 earthquake here. Continuing south, a 2.0 earthquake here. South of there, this is another 2.2 earthquake here. Don, you're very humorous tonight. Those submarine volcanoes have lost their periscopes. Oh, gosh. You're hilarious. You are hilarious, Don. Gotta love you. Gotta love you. Does anybody have any questions about anything here? Going over here to Mauna Loa. This is a 2.4 earthquake. A 2.4 earthquake here at Mauna Loa. On the southeastern flank of Mauna Loa here, this is a 1.4 tremor here. A 1.4 tremor here to the south. Okay? Up here, this is on the southern flank of Mauna Kea. The southern flank of Mauna Kea here. Mauna Kea is another volcano right here. Okay? This is a 1.3 tremor here. USGS has this as 32 kilometers south-southeast of Waikoloa, Hawaii. This is on the southern flank of Mauna Kea. Now, while you see only these earthquakes here at Mauna Loa and Mauna Kea, there's probably 20 earthquakes at Mauna Kea. There's about 12 to 15 earthquakes at Mauna Loa. And USGS is not showing them here. But if you go over to the USGS map where they show seismograms, you can see on the seismograms that these earthquakes are indeed occurring. Okay? I showed earthquakes here on the Big Island at these volcanoes in the past. Okay? That's what is going on over on the Big Island of Hawaii. Okay? Any questions? Juby Joe says she'd never seen this side of dawn before. I wish you could have met Dawn a long time ago when I lived in Salt Lake. Dawn has always had a great sense of humor. Dawn has always had a great sense of humor. Folks, I'm going to go over here to the East Coast and show you earthquakes over here on the East Coast. Before I do that, I want to go over here to the Atlantic Ocean here. Right smack dab in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, we have the Mid-Atlantic Fault here. The Mid-Atlantic Fault. This is a plate. This is a great big huge tectonic plate. And the center of the plate is expanding. The center of the Mid-Atlantic plate is expanding. It's pushing North America in a south-southwesterly direction. It's pushing Europe in an easterly direction here. Now, while the Mid-Atlantic Fault is pushing North America in a south-southwesterly direction, that includes Canada, the United States, and northern Mexico. Canada, the United States, and northern Mexico. That is why we're getting earthquakes here on the East Coast. That is why we're going to show you earthquakes here on the East Coast. The East Coast is getting pushed. The pressure from the East Coast is also putting pressure on the New Madrid Fault. And I'm going to show you plenty of earthquakes here on the New Madrid Fault tonight. Plenty of them. There's plenty of them. For example, this one here is a 2.6 minor earthquake in Monroe, Missouri. Monroe, Missouri. USBS has this 1 kilometer south of Old Monroe. Folks, if it's 1 kilometer south, guess what? That's only 2,000 feet from the city. That is effectively in Monroe, Missouri. That is effectively in Monroe, Missouri. So for USBS says it's south of there, it's not. It's in Monroe, Missouri. A 2.6 earthquake here. Okay? Now, let's take down this map. Now, I'm going to show you earthquakes here. The first thing I'm going to show you is on the East Coast here. All right. Now, this first set here, this is Lilburn, Georgia. Lilburn, Georgia. Now, while you're not seeing much of anything here, look down here to the bottom left of this seismogram. The bottom left of this seismogram here, just after 11:32 a.m. this morning, there was a 3.0 earthquake here in Lilburn, Georgia. A 3.0 earthquake here in Lilburn, Georgia this morning. That had the ground rumbling under some people's feet this morning. Some people may have noticed it, others may have not. Okay? But a 3.0 earthquake at 11:32 a.m. here in Lilburn, Georgia this morning. All kinds of fun. Let's go over to Montrose, Georgia here this morning. Look what we're seeing here. Look what we're seeing here. Let me enlarge this seismogram so you can truly appreciate what I'm showing you here. Okay? Just after 7 o'clock over on here on the left-hand side, all you're seeing here are microquakes and tremors, very minor tremors. Okay? Over here to the right, 7:11 this morning. 7:11 a.m. this morning, we just have 2 minor tremors there. Then, 8 o'clock, 8:45, we have some good-sized tremors building. 9 o'clock, more tremors building. 9:15 over on the left-hand side. On the red line, you see more tremors building here. Then at 9:30 a.m. over on the left-hand side, we see 9:30 a.m. We go over to about 9:36 a.m. this morning. All of a sudden, we're seeing 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. A minute later, we have another 2.5, 2.6 minor earthquake here. Then after 11:35 a.m. we have some more tremors. 11:45 we have tremors that exist for a 15-minute time period. The bottom green line shows constant tremors, 1.1, 1.2 tremors here this morning here. Okay? Guess what? The ground is moving. Montrose, Georgia. The ground is moving here. Let me show you Montrose, Georgia this afternoon. Look at this, guys. The tremors got bigger, didn't they? The tremors got bigger. Just after 1:30 this morning, or this afternoon, on this blue line. 1:30 this afternoon on this blue line, and over here to the right here. Okay? Look what we have here. (1:37 p.m. this afternoon). 2.0 earthquake. Then 1:41 p.m. this afternoon. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. The tremors did get larger, didn't they? They turned into full-blown earthquakes here in Georgia, Montrose, Georgia this afternoon. Fascinating, huh? You ain't seen the end of this. Let's go over to Savannah, Georgia. Savannah, Georgia this morning. Look at this. The tremor started before 4 a.m. this morning. (3:47 this morning. The tremors start kicking into gear. 8:14 a.m. this morning. 2.3, 2.4 earthquake. Over on the far right side. And then they continue here. We see tremors and earthquakes the rest of the morning. Tremors and earthquakes the rest of the morning here. Savannah, Georgia this morning. How about Savannah, Georgia this afternoon? Look at this. Now, folks, I want to show you this. This afternoon. Folks, this is 12:11 this afternoon. Top black line. 2.9, 3.0 small earthquake. 2.9, 3.0 small earthquake here in Savannah, Georgia. Then on the red line, this is 12:18 p.m. this afternoon. This is a 3.0 earthquake. A 3.0 small earthquake here this afternoon. Then we have more tremors, don't we? Then we come down here to 2:46 p.m. this afternoon. Again, we have a 3.0 earthquake. Then, about 8 minutes later, we have another 3.0 earthquake. After 1,500 hours. 1,500 hours over on the left side is 3 p.m. We come over here again to 3:12 p.m. A 2.5, 2.6 earthquake. Then we come down here to the blue line. Left side of the blue line is 3:30. 3:33, just before 3:34 p.m. We have another series of quakes. The series of P waves happens just before 3:34. We have numerous 3.0 earthquakes. Numerous 3.0 earthquakes lasting about 10 to 15 seconds. Fascinating at the least. Then we jump down to 4:15 over here on the red line beneath 1600 here. 1600 is 4 p.m. over on the left side. Just below that on the red line we have 4:15. Then we come over here to the right. 4:13 p.m. this afternoon. Again, we have more 3.0 small earthquakes. Fascinating to say the least. Then, after 4:34 p.m., we have another 3.0 earthquake. Multiple 3.0 earthquakes. Small earthquakes happening here. Small earthquakes happening here in Savannah, Georgia. Prior to this day, prior to today, all we've seen here in Savannah, Georgia are tremors and minor earthquakes. Tremors and minor earthquakes. Now it's turned the other side. Now we're seeing full-blown earthquakes here in Savannah, Georgia. This is the southern part of the east coast of North America. Georgia, guys. Georgia. How about South Carolina? Let's take a look at Kings Mountain, South Carolina. Renee Steppe just loves this. Renee Steppe sometimes sends me several seismograms showing this area here. Blacksburg, Kings Mountain, South Carolina. Look at this. Most of this is just 2.0 minor earthquakes and tremors. Yes, there are plenty of tremors here. Plenty of tremors here. However, this morning, just after 3:30 a.m. this morning, a 3.0 earthquake. And if the truth be known, there's another one before that. This one happened at 2:13 a.m. this morning. Another 3.0 earthquake. And then after 2:33 this morning, we have another one. 3.0 earthquake. After that, we have tons and tons of tremors here. At the very bottom here on the left-hand side, 10:45 a.m. this morning, we have what appears to be a 1.7 tremor. Then notice after 11:15 this morning, 11:19 a.m. this morning, they shut off the seismograph. They shut off the seismograph until 11:14. I'm sorry, not 11:14, 11:24 a.m. this morning. For whatever reason, they shut it down. Then they turned it back on for another minute or so until it turned over to 11:30. They turned it off again at 11:36. Turned it on again before 11:37. It might have been off about 20 seconds. They turn it back on. But all we see are tremors. Why did they turn it off? What are they hiding here in Blacksburg, Kings Mountain, South Carolina? Just so you know, this is also a volcano. Blacksburg, South Carolina. Kings Mountain is a volcano. Kings Mountain is a volcano, guys. Just so you know. Just so you know. Now, let's look at Blacksburg, South Carolina this afternoon. Not much happening. All we're seeing here are tremors, and that's about it. At the most. 12:37 this afternoon. 1.5, 1.7 tremors. That's as big as it gets. Okay? Then, I want to go to Scranton. Good old Scranton, South Carolina. What are they showing here? They turned off the seismograph before midnight. They turned off the seismograph before midnight. Then they turned it on after 6:30 this morning. 6:30 this morning, we start off this morning with a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. Why did they have this thing turned off before that? Inquiring minds want to know. The rest of this morning, all we see are tremors here. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay? How about this afternoon? Nothing big deal at all about this afternoon. All we had here are tremors here. That's it. Scranton, South Carolina, all we had was tremors here. The East Coast is being pushed by the Atlantic Plate. Let's go over to the Continental Divide in South Carolina. This is Sumter, South Carolina. This is the foothills of the Continental Divide. The foothills of the Continental Divide. What are we seeing? What are we seeing and why are we seeing it? This is nothing but tremors here. This is nothing but tremors here. Okay? Usually what we see here in Sumter are a bunch of minor earthquakes and sometimes even small earthquakes. This is the Continental Divide. Okay? Lugoff. Lugoff is just west of here. We've seen a lot of earthquakes at Lugoff. Fascinating, huh? It is fascinating. How about Sumter, South Carolina here this afternoon? Nothing but tremors. Nothing but tremors. This is interesting because the last time we were here showing this, yes, it's been over a month. But the last time we were showing you earthquakes here, not just tremors. Okay? Let's go north. I want to take you north now. I want to go over into North Carolina, where I live. I want to take you over to King, North Carolina. This is nothing but tremors here at King, North Carolina. Very, very minor tremors here. 1.2, 1.3 tremors. That's all. King, North Carolina. Pittsboro, North Carolina. This is a small town of about 500 people. Nothing but tremors here as well. That's this morning. Pittsboro this afternoon. More tremors here. Not a big deal, is it? Not at all. Let's go north. North and east of Pittsboro. Look at this. Yes, this is showing some minor earthquakes as well. Okay? Just after 7:46 a.m. 2.0, 2.5 earthquake. Minor earthquake. All the rest of these are tremors here this morning. Roper, North Carolina. Guess what? Wait till this afternoon. Folks, this afternoon we had tremors. Then at 2, I want to say 2:40 this afternoon, we had a 2.2 earthquake. 2.2 minor earthquake. After that, we had a bunch of tremors. But what happened after 5:58 p.m. this evening? 5:58 p.m. this evening. This is a 3.2 earthquake. Why is USGS not showing this? A 3.2 earthquake here in Roper, North Carolina. This is over on the coastline of North Carolina. The coastline of North Carolina. Let's go south to near where I'm at. Sandy Mush, North Carolina. Nothing but tremors here. Sandy Mush, North Carolina this morning. Sandy Mush, North Carolina this afternoon, the same thing. Nothing but tremors here this afternoon. Let's go north of where I live. 45 miles north of where I live, we come to Taylorsville, North Carolina. Good old Taylorsville. After 1:15 this morning, we have nothing more than 1.0, 1.1, 1.2 tremors. Then that dies off after 2:06. Actually, I'm sorry, it dies off after 2:15, 2:16 this morning. It goes to microquakes, nothing more than microquakes until 8.
Location, Tonga. Last
Until
flight
8:39
magnitude 4.6, 21 minutes ago.
this afternoon. 8:39 this afternoon, all of a sudden we have a bunch of tremors. And those tremors turn into 3.0 earthquakes. They turn into 2.8, 2.9, and then a 3.0 earthquake. Okay? 8:43 a.m., a 3.0 earthquake. At 8:45 a.m. over on the left-hand side on the green line, nothing but tremors. At 9 a.m. on the left-hand side, nothing but tremors. Okay? Nothing but tremors here. Guess what? Let's take you over to this afternoon. Nothing this afternoon at all. It got very quiet here. It got very quiet. Folks, let's go north. Accomack, Virginia. Accomack, Virginia. Look at this. Look at all these tremors here this morning. Literally all morning long, from midnight on. Look at that. Tremors. This morning after midnight on the top black line. Here we come up with maybe 2.3 or 4 2.0 earthquakes. All the rest of these are all tremors here. Nothing but tremors in Accomack, Virginia this morning. Let's look at Accomack, Virginia this afternoon. The same thing here. Nothing but tremors, top to bottom, side to side here. Again, this is the Atlantic plate pushing on the east coast of the United States over in Virginia. It gets better. Corbin, Virginia. More tremors here this morning. Then they shut off the seismogram. Go figure. Actually, that was this afternoon. I'm sorry. This is this morning. Nothing but tremors this morning and this afternoon here in Corbin, Virginia. The Atlantic plate is pushing on the North American plate, causing all these tremors here. It gets better. Let's go over to Mineral, Virginia here. Look at this, guys. All we had here was tremors, except after 9:35 a.m. 9:35 a.m. we have a 3.0 earthquake. Small 3.0 earthquake. And it lasted several seconds. This lasted several seconds here in Mineral, Virginia. Fascinating. This afternoon we had another one. This earthquake happened just after 12:47 p.m. this afternoon. Again, lasting several seconds. 3.0 small earthquakes caused by the Atlantic plate pushing on the North American plate. Now, I tried to pull up seismic activity in Washington. I tried to pull up seismic activity in Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, New York. New York had some tremors. Connecticut, nothing but tremors. Just tiny tremors. Massachusetts, tiny tremors. Okay? All along the East Coast we have tiny tremors. That's all. The Atlantic plate is pushing on the East Coast. My buddy Dave, Canadian Patriot 1, is here as well. if we go over to the Canadian map, no, I did not put the Canadian map on the software here to show it to you. We don't really have anything but over near Quebec. Near Quebec, we have a 1.2 tremor, and that's all. A 1.2 tremor over in Quebec, that's all. Okay, I checked Nova Scotia where Richard Smith is. Nothing. Nothing. However, that's not all, folks. There's more. Let's go over to the New Madrid Fault. I just love this. This is Arkansas. Catfish Pond, Arkansas. What are we seeing here? All we're seeing here are microquakes and tiny tremors just after 1:15 this morning. Just before 1:15 and after 1:15. Then we don't see much of anything until 7:20 this morning. 7:20 this morning on this red line. It's about halfway over. These microquakes turn into 1.0 tremors. Then 5 minutes later, these 1.0 tremors turn into 1.2, 1.3 tremors, which turn into 1.5, 1.7 tremors into 2.0 earthquake. Then 2.5 earthquake. 2.7 earthquake. And then it dwindles down after that. It dwindles down after that, after 7:30 this morning. Then 7:49 a.m. this morning. All of a sudden we get 3.0 earthquakes. And the top and the bottom of these earthquakes have been cut off. Okay? The tops and bottoms of these earthquakes have been cut off. This is 7:49 a.m. this morning. Then again after 7:51 a.m. this morning. 3.0 plus earthquakes. 3.0 plus earthquakes. Catfish Pond, Arkansas. This, folks, is right along the Mississippi River. Right along the New Madrid Fault. On the New Madrid Fault. Then more earthquakes. At approximately 8:55, I'm sorry, not 8:55, 8:40 a.m. this morning. 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes. And these earthquakes last about 30 seconds on that blue line. And before that we have a 2.0. Then again, after 10, I want to say this is 10:40 a.m. this morning, on this blue line at the bottom right. 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes turning into a 3.0 earthquake, and then it dissipates after that. Minor earthquakes turning into small earthquakes, turning into minor earthquakes, and then dissipating into a secondary wave. Small earthquakes, guys. Small earthquakes in Arkansas. Catfish Pond, Arkansas. This morning. This afternoon, all we get is this. Okay? Tremors and then a minor earthquake here after 2:14 p.m. this afternoon. That's all. On this red line over on the right-hand side. 2:14 p.m. this afternoon. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. Then more tremors here. That one on the black line near the bottom here is after 4, I want to say 4:11 p.m. this afternoon, 2.0 earthquake. Catfish Pond, Arkansas. The pneumatic fault is moving. Let's go over to Dell, Arkansas. Dell, Arkansas here. Okay? I want to show you this. This is important. Look at these earthquakes here. Okay? This shows August 29th. August 29th. 20 days ago. Look at this. Look at this, guys. And this is important. These are at least 3.5 to 4.0 earthquakes. Over here on the right, on the green line here, this is 10:54 p.m. 10:55 p.m. Or 10:55 a.m., I'm sorry. 10:55 a.m. This is at least a 3.0 earthquake. However, bottom and the top are cut off. This lasted 2 minutes. This earthquake sequence lasted 2 minutes here. Prior to that, we had 2 3.0 earthquakes. But this earthquake sequence lasted 2 minutes. A full 2 minutes. This was a 4.0 earthquake. A moderate 4.0 earthquake here at Catfish Pond, Arkansas on August 29th. Okay, August 29th, on the pneumatic fault. On the pneumatic fault, right next to the Mississippi River. On the pneumatic fault. Canadian Patriot 1 says, more quakes to come as the sun keeps sending pot shots at us. Absolutely right. These earthquakes are caused by CMEs, coronal mass ejections. Coronal mass ejections. Now, while this is in August, I have more earthquakes to show you that have happened today. Now, folks, in my program description below this video today, if you scroll down through the program description, you're going to see a blurb about Wages World. Mark Wages frequently comes into the chat. He's a good man. He talks about what's going on the sun. Last night he put together a very good program. We have CMEs headed for the Earth right now. We have CMEs headed for the Earth right now, meaning we're going to see more earthquakes here along the pneumatic fault. We're going to see more earthquakes along the East Coast. We're going to see more earthquakes in the Mid-Atlantic fault. We're going to see more earthquakes around the Pacific Basin. South America, North America, Alaska, Japan, Indonesia, the Philippines, and over into the Hawaiian Islands and New Zealand. We're going to see it. Let's go over to Little River, right next to Little Rock, Arkansas. Look at this. Look what I found today. Tremors here. Tremors here this afternoon. After 3 p.m. here. About 3:09 p.m. here. 3:09 p.m. 3.0 earthquake here. Prior to that, we have a bunch of tremors. Before that, we have more tremors. A 3.0 small earthquake here Little River, Arkansas, right next to Little Rock, Arkansas. Fascinating, huh? That's not the half of it. Let's go over to Mark Tree, Arkansas. Look at this. Marked Tree, Arkansas, guys. Look at this. Just after 12:10 this morning, we go from 1.0, 1.1 tremors all the way over here at 12:30 this morning. 2.0, 2.5, 3.0 earthquakes, and if you notice, the top and the bottom of this earthquake sequence have been cut off. This sequence lasted 4 minutes. From start to finish, the sequence lasted 4 minutes. This is huge, guys. 4.0 earthquake. 4.0 earthquake here at Mark Tree, Arkansas. After 1 a.m. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At 1:19 a.m. 1:19 a.m. it starts building. It goes from 1.0, 1.1 tremor to 1 minute later, another 3.0 earthquake happening. Multiple 3.0 earthquakes hit here. Then we have tremors again. We have tremors until we get to 5:15 again. 5:21 a.m. this morning. We have more 3.0 earthquakes. And the top and the bottom of that sequence on the red have been cut off. I mean, it was probably larger than that. Then we come down here to 6 a.m. over on the right side. This is 6:13 a.m. Starts off with some tremors. Then it gets larger. It goes from 3.0 to 4.0 earthquakes here. 3.0 to 4.0 moderate earthquakes here. Look at that. They cut off the top and then they let it go. Look at these earthquake sequences here. That is a lot of seismic energy here at Mark Tree, Arkansas. This continued all morning long here. How would you like to have been woken up by these earthquakes? How would you have liked to have been woken up by these earthquakes this morning? Incredible, huh? They continue this afternoon. Look at this. These 3.0, 4.0 earthquakes continued literally all day long, off and on all day long. The new matter fault is building. I've been telling you it's building for some time now. Catholic Payne says it looks like magma intrusion. It does. But in this case, the volcanoes are north of Arkansas. The volcanoes are over in Missouri. This is not magma intrusion. These are earthquakes in Arkansas. Earthquakes in Arkansas. Richard Smith says reverberating energy paving major earthquake highways deep in the earth. Pretty much. Except this case, this is just west of the New Madrid Fault. Probably about 50, 75 miles west of the New Madrid Fault. And this is serious. This is serious. It keeps happening. We go almost straight east. I mean, not east. We go almost straight west to the central part of Arkansas, Needham, Arkansas. We're seeing tremors here. This is this morning. We see tremors here in Needham, Arkansas. This is almost straight west of New Madrid. Incredible. But how about this afternoon? There was a tremor increase here in Needham, Arkansas this afternoon. Central Arkansas, guys. Central Arkansas. The seismic energy is continuing to move. The seismic energy is continuing to move. Now I want to go north. North Central Arkansas. This is Ozark Folk Center. Ozark Folk Center here in Arkansas. Typically in the past we've seen more earthquakes here in the Ozark Folk Center area. North Central Arkansas. This is nothing. This is nothing. What you see here after 10, I want to say 10 this morning. 3.0 earthquake. 2.9, 3.0 earthquake this morning. 10:10 this morning. Tremors here other than that. Just tremors. Let me show you Ozark Folk Center this afternoon. Nothing but tremors here as well. Usually we have seen earthquakes, full-blown earthquakes here at the Ozark Folk Center. Things have calmed down here. Now, I want to go south to Truman, Arkansas. Look at this. The same kind of things we're seeing in Marktree are also happening here. 12:15 this morning. We have minor tremors building up to 2.0, 2.5, and 3.0 earthquakes. This sequence lasted from 12:15 this morning until 12:20 this morning, until it calmed down after the secondary wave hit. Okay? Look at that. Then, 1:30 this morning. 1:30 this morning. After 1:15 this morning, we had some microquake, very tiny microquakes. Then it built up and built up to where we had 2.0 earthquakes here after 1:30 this morning. Then, 5:10 a.m. this morning, over here on the right-hand side in the center of this slide here, we have tremors building into 2.5, 2.6, 2.7 earthquakes. And that earthquake sequence lasts 5 minutes. Then it dissipates over a period of time. About 8 minutes dissipation time. Microquakes going all the way down from tremors to microquakes. Okay? Then 6 a.m. this morning, just prior to 6 a.m., 5:48 a.m. this morning, we have microquakes turning into tremors, turning into a minor earthquake just before 5:01. Then all of a sudden we had a 2.9 earthquake sequence here. 2.9 earthquake sequence. It dissipated and built up again. Then dissipated again. Then, after 7:08 this morning. Another 2.9 earthquake here. Then dissipated into minor earthquakes, and then tremors, and then totally dissipated into microquakes. And you can see what else happened here after that. Okay? Truman, Arkansas this morning. Truman, Arkansas this afternoon. Look at that. Same kind of thing happening here. It's a lot less than Mark Tree, but the same kind of thing happening here. Let's go south. I want to go to Twist, Arkansas this afternoon. Nothing but tremors here, but look at the tremors here. Look at the tremors. At the beginning of the afternoon at 12 noon, it was almost nothing. Microquakes. Then as the afternoon continued, the tremors built here. On the New Madrid fault, the tremors built. Now, let's go down to Tyronza, Arkansas, down here to southern Arkansas here. Look at this. Down here in Tyronza years ago, all we had were tiny tremors. Then the tremors build up. The tremors build up to minor earthquakes. Then mid-range earthquakes. Then to 2.9, 3.0 earthquakes like you see here. Minor earthquakes to 3.0 earthquakes here. From 8 a.m. on, the earthquakes got larger here, didn't they? Tyronza, Arkansas here. Tyronza, Arkansas this afternoon. Look at that. These earthquakes are building. The number of earthquakes is getting larger. More and more earthquakes, and stronger earthquakes as well, on the New Madrid Fault. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 years ago, all we had here were minor tremors. 1.5, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9 tremors. Gradually it built up and built up. A year or so ago it got to be minor earthquakes. 2.0 and larger earthquakes a year or so ago. Now what's it doing now? The number of earthquakes are increasing, and the strength of these earthquakes are increasing. Those of you that have been with me during the past 5.5 years. 5.5 years ago, many of you were asking, Ron, what about the New Madrid Fault? I would go over here and show you some tremors. That's all was happening. Minor tremors. Then over the past 5.5 years, the number of tremors and the strength of the tremors build up. Then those tremors build up to minor earthquakes. Those minor earthquakes turn into small 3.0 earthquakes. And now what I believe we're seeing are actually moderate 4.0 and large earthquakes. It's going to happen. I've estimated that it might take 2 years to have a major earthquake here on the New Madrid Fault. It may take 2 years. It might come sooner than that. It may come sooner than that. I kid you not, guys. I've been watching it. I've been showing all of you what's going on. I have not made any bones about it. I've not made any bones about it. Even here at Missouri, Barker Cemetery. All we had here were tremors. All we had here at Barker Cemetery were tremors. Now look at what we're getting. 2.0, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8 earthquakes. And that's just here this morning. Usually these tremors and minor earthquakes started earlier than this. Like at 1 o'clock this morning. But they didn't. These waited until 5 or 6 o'clock this morning. For whatever reason. For whatever reason. Barker Cemetery this afternoon. Look at this. 3.0 earthquakes at Barker Cemetery. That has never happened before. We have never seen 3.0 earthquakes at Barker Cemetery before. You see it here. You see it here. I guess Richard Smith is going to take off and go to sleep. Richard, have a good night, my friend. God bless you, brother. God bless you. Richard Smith is over in Nova Scotia, Canada. The center of the pneumatic fault is picking up. The number of earthquakes is increasing, and the strength of the earthquakes are also increasing. It's increasing in Arkansas as well. It's increasing all over Arkansas. This is Guam, Arkansas here. Look at this. Guam, Arkansas this morning. Guam, Arkansas this morning. Guam, Arkansas this afternoon. It's moving, guys. East Prairie, Arkansas here. This is Central Arkansas. East Prairie, Arkansas, guys. It's moving. Homersville, Arkansas. Look at this. This is northern Arkansas. Homersville, Arkansas. I'm sorry, Missouri. Homersville, Missouri. Northern Missouri. It's building, guys. I don't know whether we'll be able to last until 2 years. Marston, Missouri this morning. Look at this. USGS claims that there are 1.8 tremors here. This is a long duration tremor here. A long duration tremor here at Marston, Missouri. Fascinating. How about Kewanee, Missouri here? Look at this. It's not just happening along the pneumatic fault itself. This is Central Missouri. Central Missouri, guys, this is no joke. But the earthquakes are not just happening in Missouri and Arkansas. Let's go down to Louisiana. This is DeRidder, Louisiana today. DeRidder, Louisiana used to have tiny tremors. Tiny tremors. 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 tremors. Look at this. These are full-blown earthquakes. 2.9 to 3.0 earthquakes here. This is southern Louisiana, the southern part of the pneumatic fault. 5 substantial earthquakes this morning. 5 substantial earthquakes this morning. No joke. No joke. You can't make this stuff up. How about DeRidder this afternoon? Look at this. 4 more substantial earthquakes and a bunch of tremors. And not just DeRidder either. Let me show you someplace else here. How about Pioneer, Louisiana here? Here you have tremors here. This is all we used to see here in Pioneer, Louisiana and DeRidder, Louisiana, tiny tremors. Now we are seeing full-blown earthquakes. Don Pantoka says key words here are used to. We used to see this. Now these earthquakes have gotten larger. They've gotten substantially larger. How about St. John's Bayou, Missouri here? Look at this morning. Look at these earthquakes here this morning. If this doesn't tell you everything, nothing will. The earthquakes are increasing, and the strength of these earthquakes also increasing. No doubt in my mind, I'm showing it to you here. This is proof enough. This is proof enough. How about this afternoon? St. John's Bayou, Missouri. Look at this. Earthquake strength increased this afternoon. Look at this. 3.0 and larger earthquakes. Look at the one here after 5:58 p.m. this afternoon. Over here in the bottom right. 5:58 this afternoon. The top and the bottom of this earthquake was cut off. This is larger than a 3.0. What's going on? What's going on here, guys? This is on the New Madrid Fault. This is right alongside the Mississippi River. I kid you not. You can look this up yourself. It's not rocket science, guys. It's not rocket science. The whole place is moving. How about the east side of the New Madrid Fault? Let's look at Ridgely, Tennessee here. Even the east side of the New Madrid Fault, we have tremors here. There's nothing but tremors here. We do have earthquakes here as well. But here this morning, Ridgely, Tennessee, these are tremors. And the tremors increased as the morning went on. The number of tremors increased as the morning went on. Ridgely, Tennessee. This afternoon. This is Ridgely, Tennessee this afternoon. How about that earthquake that happened at 4:07 p.m. this afternoon? Actually not 4:07. This is 4:22 p.m. this afternoon. That's a 2.4 earthquake. That is a 2.4 earthquake here. Ridgely, Tennessee. Let's go over to the Federal Correctional Center in Tennessee. Let's go over to Tiptonville, Tennessee, guys. We've had full-blown earthquakes here at Tiptonville, Tennessee before. This morning, this is nothing but tremors. Nothing but tremors. But after 10 a.m., the tremors became consistent and the tremors got larger. After 10 a.m., the tremors got more consistent and they got larger here. A month or so ago, we had full-blown earthquakes here at Tiptonville, Tennessee. Let's look at this evening, this afternoon. Tiptonville this afternoon. Look here. After 12, I want to say 12:26 p.m. 12:26 p.m. this afternoon. 2.5, 2.6 earthquake. Incredible, huh? After that, nothing but tremors. But this is significant, guys. This is very significant. What say you? What say you guys? I've shown you the evidence of what's going on. What say you about this? Charlie, my wife, sometimes thinks I'm a conspiracy theorist as well. Don't worry about it. As stuff continues to hit the fan, she'll realize you're not a conspiracy theorist, that what has been saying is going to happen is happening now. She's going to realize it. Guys, I'm telling you, things are happening. It's getting stronger and stronger. The east side of this country and Canada is getting squeezed by the Atlantic Fault. The west side of the United States and Canada is getting squeezed by the Pacific Ocean, subducting underneath the North American Fault. And all that energy is coming from the west. All that energy is coming from the east, and the New Madrid Fault is getting squeezed. That's what's going on. This is exactly what's going on. That's what's going on. Charlie, all we can do is pray. All we can do is pray. Guys, do you have any questions for me? I've shown you a lot of information tonight from all around the world, over in Hawaii, Alaska, and all over the United States, including on the East Coast and the West Coast and the New Madrid Fault. Okay? It's all over. Your questions are important, or I would not even ask for that. Many times you've asked me questions and I've given you answers. And if I don't have the answer, I'll tell you that, and then I will come back tomorrow or the next day and give you the answer to the question. I will not just drop it. If you guys have a question, I will answer. I will find you an answer. Folks, what I need you to do now is share this channel far and wide. Share it to your friends. Share it to your neighbors. Share this channel and the information we've given you with your family and your extended family. Share it with your social media contacts, guys. Share this information with your social media contacts and even the people you work with. They need to see this. We are going through a huge political battle here. We're going through a political battle, and we're also battling spiritual entities. We're battling Satan here as well. It's going to get a lot worse. It's getting a lot worse. Don Pantoka says, if you're not receiving notice from Google YouTube, resubscribe. And when you resubscribe, click on that little bell icon. Then a drop-down menu of 3 items is going to appear. Click on the word ALL, all. That should get you notified when we come on the air, but be advised, YouTube doesn't like this channel. So you may not get notified when we come on the air. I tell everybody, usually we come on the air between 6 and 7 p.m. Eastern Time every day. Sometimes it's just a little bit later, just after 7 o'clock. I think there's only been one time when it's been 8 o'clock. I believe that's been the latest we've ever come on the air. But folks, it's important we share this information. We're going to see these earthquakes increase. The earthquakes are going to increase till people get hit and hurt. We need to help prepare these people in this great nation of ours and around the world. We need to help them. We need to help them and make sure they have the information so they can prepare for what is happening. We want to prepare everybody for what is happening. Political-wise, what is happening here in the United States is also happening all around the world. I promise you that. I promise you that. It's happening everywhere. Share this information. Let's try to make some burdens lighter. Let's try to make sure we give you the information that you need. Political-wise, it's getting worse and worse. Tomorrow I'll have more information about what's going on with the election with Donald Trump, with Ms. Harris, with Mr. Waltz. Mr. Waltz needs to be tried for murder. Mr. Waltz needs to be tried for murder, not running for Vice President of the United States. It's bad. I'll be discussing that tomorrow. Folks, I'm going to go over to the scriptures. I want to go over to Colossians in the 3rd chapter. I'm going to go over to Colossians 3rd chapter, verse 17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God and the Father by him. Wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands, as it is fit in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives. Do not be bitter against them. Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well-pleasing unto the Lord. Fathers, and I speak to a lot of people here, fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they become discouraged. Let's not hurt these children. Let's not discourage and hurt these children at all. Servants, that's you and I. We're servants in the Lord's kingdom, and we're also servants to our employers. Servants, obey in all your masters according to the flesh, not with eye service, as men pleasers, but in singleness of heart, fearing God. And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily as to the Lord, and not unto men, knowing that of the Lord ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for ye serve the Lord Christ. But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done, and there is no respect of persons. Brothers and sisters, these are the scriptures. These are the words of the Lord Jesus Christ to each one of us. I teach Sunday school on Sunday mornings. Every day, every Sunday. I share spiritual wisdom from the scriptures every day with you. Because I know Jesus Christ can help us and Jesus Christ can bless us. Jesus Christ can bless us and help us in everything we're going through. Charlie, that goes for me and you as well. It goes for all of us. May God bless us to be able to read and understand and help other people also to read and understand. I urge each one of you. I want to read another scripture here. I want to read another scripture. This is important. Please take note of this scripture. I want you all to obey the Lord. I want to share this with you because it will help you. And I kid you not. It will help you. It's important. I've asked all of you to pray. I've asked each and every one of you to pray. I'm going back here to the scriptures. In the scriptures here, it tells us what we should pray for and how we should pray. And when ye shall receive these things, I would exhort you that ye would ask God the Eternal Father, in the name of Christ, if these things are not true. And if ye shall ask with a sincere heart, with real intent, having faith in Christ, he will manifest the truth of it unto you by the power of the Holy Ghost. And by the power of the Holy Ghost, ye may know the truth of all things. By the power of the Holy Ghost, ye may know the truth of all things. Brothers and sisters, these verses in the scripture are true. Pray and find out about it. Pray and find out about everything we've been telling you. Pray and find out what you should do with your families, what you should do with your wives and children, and help each other, love each other, and pray to the Lord about love. You may need more love yourself. You may also need to exercise more love with your family. This is absolutely mandatory. My son Paul is here. Paul, I love you. Paul, I love you very much. I appreciate you so much. You won't even know. Maybe you do. God bless you, son. God bless each and every one of us here. May God bless us that we may know the truth of all things. May God protect you and be with you this night and always. Brothers and sisters, tomorrow night we're going to talk about emergency preparedness. I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to hold back. Please bring your questions to our program tomorrow night. We will be very happy to answer all your questions tomorrow night. I love you, brothers and sisters. I do very much so. May God be with you this day and always. God be with you until we can meet again. We will see you on the other side. Have a good night, everybody. Much love. We will see you on the other side. Good night, everybody. Take care. Enjoy. Be safe.
Thank you.